How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Forever Arsenal podcast. Hope you're all good and well out there. First things first, hit that like button. The likes have been hitting 1,000 every single show and we love it. The comment section was popping off last time, so comments of the day coming up towards the end of the show. But firstly, let's introduce, as always, Jordan, Lee and James in the building. And tonight's Forever Arsenal is powered by NordVPN. Be invincible by using the code AFTV at the checkout or click the link below to visit nordvpn.com/AFTV for the AFTV special.
It's somewhere in London and it's looking pretty red. Lee Judges has attempted to score some new content. He's got to get past a hacker, malware and password attacks. Lee takes off. But look, the hacker sends password attacks towards Lee. He's dispossessed of all his passwords and data. He goes again. But he's hacked to the ground. Look at Lee's in pain and they're mocking him. Wait, he's got a last minute transfer deal. He's got NordVPN on his team now. I mean, is that even legal? Oh, that's next generation encryption, absolutely blinding the opposition. And the fastest VPN on the planet flies past password attacks, takes down the ball and scores! That's fresh content on your favourite streaming services. You're protected on multiple devices, back of the net. Just change your location in the app. Go to nordvpn.com/AFTV now.
What are you hollering at?
At you, mate.
Listen, I don't want to hear you say anything about the players. Quite frankly, you are in no position to talk.
Can I just say something? That actual goal, you know, they're like smashed into the back of it. One take, bosh, done like that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. I'll find out about that. But big up NordVPN helping us bring you that fantastic bit of content there, including Lee and much more as well. There's a link in the description, like I said, or you can use the code AFTV at checkout. And Jordan, I saw just as the ad was about to play, you into the same time. What did you want to say?
Interrupting my fellow podders, and now I'm interrupting the advert. I was going to say we've got an advert. We must be going up in the world. We're doing well. We're doing all right. Got a sponsor. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
They gave it to
someone likes
the
us.
two greatest shows on AFTV, Forever Arsenal and Tactical Insight, Lee. How about that? Hey, go check it out. Go check out Tactical. Get your NordVPN. Watch it anywhere around the world with Jordan.
I'm very surprised. I thought it was going to be Betty Buys, but there you go. Like,
Night nurse.
Listen, the people have spoken. I didn't even hear that.
Sorry.
You know, on these late ones, me and Jordan lose themselves a little bit. Don't forget.
I tell you what,
because they should have been in bed an hour ago.
Like, you know, Turkish has only gone to the dark side, hasn't he?
He has.
Yeah, he's only gone and done Tactical Insight, like, you know. Actually, I thought Graham was looking really, really ropey. I feel like what's happened to him? He ain't had a shave for about a week. Like, you know?
Life's hit him hard.
I thought life's hitting him hard, and I couldn't believe it when I actually had to put my glasses on, and there's Turkish. You know what I mean?
Look, only elite footballing minds are invited on that show.
Can I get an invite, James? Can I come on the next one?
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Is there a guest list?
What's going on here? Everybody wants to get on it, like.
I want to get on that one now.
It's funny how things change, eh? Now everyone wants to be on Tactical Insight. No worries. I get it.
So the other thing I've got to say this, like, you know, I was fuming after the result, of course, like, you know, and like a lot of the stewards at West Ham and all that Arsenal supporters, funny enough, you know, and one of them comes up to me, like, and he goes, Lee, lovely to meet you and love the Forever Arsenal. Can you just tell Jordan he's my favourite? I went, you what?
Come! Listen, I'm telling you,
what?
In the comments, they hate me. On the streets, they love me. They love me.
I said, what the hell is going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, you know?
Yeah,
telling you,
Lee
man,
might
I'm the
get
real
all
one.
the comments, but he'll never have the streets.
What's his name, Lee? What's his name?
I didn't ask his name after that.
Great.
I know I weren't happy with him, was he? I thought he was going to say, like, the judge or something like that. Even Turkish, you know what I mean? Like, but I can accept that, you know what I mean? But like, you know,
What?
gotta love Jordan, haven't you? I went, no, you haven't got to love him. You know what I mean? There you go.
Mr. Steward, man, you're very much welcome, and I hope you have a thoroughly enjoyable rest of the season. And West Ham stay up in the Premier League, and I hope to see you sometime soon. Take care of yourself.
He's an Arsenal fan, so I don't think he cares about West Ham.
Oh, shame he's Arsenal again.
God, this guy doesn't listen, does he?
Maybe it's better for his job. To be fair,
even the shout outs.
It's another fan of yours that you don't know his name.
I know.
Funnily enough, that's become your thing.
It's bad.
He shall not be named.
He shan't be named. Yeah. Sorry, mate.
We're having too much fun. Are we just putting off the inevitable, infuriating conversation we need to have about this game?
To be honest, I was thinking just that. I think this pod started quite on the positive side in comparison to what's going on the pitch. But you know what this pod is? It's about us four getting together once a week, sometimes twice a week in the season to talk football. And yeah, the last couple have been a bit more difficult to talk about than pretty much the rest of the season, because at a crucial time we have dropped points for the second game week running. West Ham being 2-0 up for the second game week running and leaving with just a point. I think the Liverpool one was a lot more understandable considering the level of opposition, the experience they have, and the Anfield aura and atmosphere, as they say. West Ham, unacceptable, if I'm honest. But I will pass it on. James, we might as well start with you and get your thoughts on it.
Look, it's been a couple of days, and I sort of, it's a bit of a defense mechanism. I try and just get over the result as quickly as possible. It's happened. You know, I'm trying to tell myself all the positives, that cool, we can still draw at City, that, you know, that assignment hasn't changed, right? We might have to win at Newcastle, but maybe they'll drop points somewhere, and, you know, maybe we can take the wake-up call from all this, blah, blah. That's what I'm trying to tell myself, because we've still got a title to fight for. The season's not over, and I think we've got to focus on the positives and the opportunity and all that. But I really put this one squarely on the players. And I know that Arteta could have done better with his subs. I absolutely agree. And I know that there's obviously always a degree of responsibility that's shared around the team. But as far as I'm aware, the team went out there, clearly prepared well, because they were 2-0 up within 10 minutes. They were ready. They were there. They were doing it. And did they fall apart, or did they kind of go the opposite end of the spectrum, which is they were far too comfortable, and then West Ham find a way in? Turkish, you joined me on Tactical Insight. We looked at the numbers that in the 10 minutes before the goal West Ham scored, in the 10 minutes, Lee, you'd find this interesting, actually. And in the 10 minutes before Liverpool got their first goal, Arsenal didn't register a single shot on goal. Ball recoveries dropped massively. All the stats collapse in the 10 minutes before West Ham and Liverpool get their goals, because Arsenal do take their foot off the gas. Sometimes your eyes aren't lying to you. I think as fans, there's always this bit of, what do you know? But we can see the intensity drops and the numbers show it. And I think it's unacceptable the way we let West Ham back in. And then I'd even go as far as to say, okay, you messed it up. They've got the equaliser, but there's another 40 minutes of football to play. So can you level up again and go and get a winner and turn it back on in the way you did in the first 10 minutes? And they couldn't do it. So I'm looking at the players on this one. I really, really gave them benefit of the doubt against Liverpool. I wasn't on them at all. I looked at all the positives from that game. But this one is an absolute shocker. Season's not over. Keep fighting. Lots to fight for. And look, 2 draws away at Liverpool and West Ham in a 9-game unbeaten run in which you've taken 23 points out of 27. It's actually really pretty bloody good. But that's not the task. That's not the assignment against Man City. And when you are 2-0 up, you got to get it done. And actually, I want to throw over to Jordan, because Jordan, you were saying in the WhatsApp group at 2-0, you were saying, go for it, finish it. And then the old shrug of the shoulders when it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I did, because I had a concern, fear that it might be history repeating itself. It's funny that most people like you, James, have said that they found this one more infuriating than the Liverpool one. Surprise, surprise. I'm the other way around. I'm more angry at the Liverpool one. I know Liverpool are better, but I just feel like if we hang on to beat Liverpool, I don't think the West Ham result happens. And I know there's no way of quantifying that. How do you prove that? But I think there was a bit of PTSD and a bit of confidence being shattered. Look, when your knife is on the neck of a lamb, you slit the throat. You have to finish the job. You have to be ruthless. And the discussion has been in this last few days, were Arsenal complacent and arrogant? My initial thinking was that Arsenal were complacent. I think we were so good in both games for half an hour, and it was very much it was too easy. It was a vibe of, oh, we'll win this. We'll win this when we want. Don't worry about it. We'll get the third goal at some point. This is light work. And that was very much my kind of thinking. We fell into an area of arrogance. But having thought about it some more, and I know people don't think I watch football games, the Arsenal games, but I actually watch every Arsenal game, and a lot of time I watch them twice. And this game I wanted to watch back, so I watched the West Ham back for a second time. I watched it back just to kind of really just distill, take an emotion out of it, because when you're watching the game live, you don't know what's going to happen, and emotions are all over the place. But what's going on here? And I'm now more of the thinking, guys, that I don't think it was so much complacency. I think it was more the team didn't and don't know what to do when they're in that situation. We've got to remember, this is not only a very young Arsenal team in terms of their evolution as potential champions. Individually, it's a very, very young team. And watching the game, it appeared to me that they didn't know what to do. At 2-0, they were kind of, this is quite easy. Do we go for the third? Do we lock it off? What's going on? And that, I think that complacency, combined with what happened 7 days earlier, I can only imagine led them to just lose their heads for a short period. That combined with West Ham thinking, we're 2-0 down, sod it, we've got to up this now and go for it, I think culminated in where we ended up at 2-1. I think what Partey did, where he tries to flick it over Declan Rice, I thought was an element of complacency as well. Someone argued he's been doing that all season and getting away with it, fine. But that for me wasn't great. And my final point would be, it's not over. As much of a disappointed, it's not over. In some ways, the assignment, as you said, James, is the same as it was last week. We've still got to go to City and get something at City. The difference is, and this is what I've been banging on about for the last couple of months, I was really keen to keep the buffer. Because although I think we always had to get something at City regardless, what we have to do now is be perfect everywhere else. Whereas before, we could have got a draw against City and afforded a defeat against Newcastle, or a draw against Newcastle, or we could have afforded to. The Chelsea game is going to be hard. I know people don't think it will be hard. Chelsea will be up for it. We could have afforded a slip up there. Whereas now we have to go to Man City and we have to win every other game. We've got to be perfect. But it's not over. If we continue to fight for this league, which I think we've got to do, I think we can still win this title. I'm not as confident that we will now. If I'm being honest, I don't think. In fact, I know I'm not as confident of winning it now, but I think we can still win this title. We've just now got to do a madness. And I think it's within us. But I think, to distill my point, I think what's happened in the last 2 weeks is where we were caught in a position of the game where we just didn't know what to do because we've not been here before. And I think they kind of just got caught in two minds. And I think that combined with the pressure of...
What do you mean? We've not been here before in terms of towards a title running, or 2-0?
Both. 2-0 up and not knowing whether to kill the game. For me, to kill the game is two ways. You do it Jose style or you do it Pep style. Pep style, get the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Jose style, Pete Jose, 1-0, 2-0. We defend this out. We didn't do either.
But we have done it enough this season.
Not when it matters. Now's when it matters.
So if the occasion is what you...
I think it's the pressure of now 8 games to go and the realization that actually we've got a juggernaut chasing us and we're close to the prize. That I think is taking its toll and the pressure is building. And I just think we're in a position whereby...
Why would that pressure build when you're 2-0 up? Like my thing about... Because I disagree. I don't think the pressures get into us. I just think it's fueled by, I think, a bit of nerves. But that's expected this time of the season, the young team, a bit of nerves. But it seems like an overconfidence, a bit of complacency from us in terms of we go 2-0 up and we think more or less the job's done. Let's just see it out. Let's pass it around. Not having Saliba doesn't help too, because when you do draw in the opposition, Saliba is a defender that will get it out quick and help us create chances. But without him there, we struggle a bit at that. Hence why in the West Ham for the last 20 minutes, instead of us putting pressure on them and trying to get that goal and an onslaught onto their keeper, there was literally nothing. We were just playing it around the same way. So we don't. Once you lose momentum in a game, it's hard to get it back. It's so hard to get it back, especially away from home. So I think it's more fueled by nerves, but in general, overconfidence and it's overconfidence on the scoreline being enough to see us over the line. Because where we was, 3 points was all that mattered. 2-0 up at Anfield, 2-0 up at West Ham. At those points, I believed that we had the 3 points in the bag. All right, there's a bit of doubt in my mind that we can slip up. I'm not that naive I've seen Arsenal slip up 4 goals up, let alone 2 goals up. But I felt like we're going to do it here at Anfield. Then I felt against West Ham, we're going to smash these lot. The goal difference, I'm already counting that in my head compared to Man City. But the players seem to be in that mindset as well. I'm not, and this season, we've seen us defensively see out games at 2-0. We've seen it, but you are right.
But I think it's different when it's 8. Sorry, Lee, I know Lee wants to come in. I just think finally it's different when you're at the time now where you can see the prize. And I think Liverpool fans have said to me for weeks and for months, you guys do not understand what it's like to be in a battle with City. They've said to me, you think that it's going to be a title. They are going to make you be perfect. They are going to hunt you down. They've said this to me and I'm like, yeah, we got this. And I think we're realizing, and the players are realizing now, I do think City's results are affecting the team. You can't quantify how much, but I do think the pressure of not being here before, this is why it took me so long to say the words, I think we're going to win it, because don't disrespect pedigree. Pedigree counts for a lot. When your form isn't going well and there's time to go, there's games to go, pedigree is what you fall back on.
But if the if the result is affecting them as much as you think it is, how do we start games so good and go 2 up? Surely that effect would be in place from the get-go.
Because I think the Arteta DNA is to start well, and we're playing 2 teams that aren't playing very, very well in West Ham and Liverpool. Can we start like that and go 2 up against City? That'll be the test. But I think it's one thing going 2-0 up against 2 teams that on form aren't playing well. And I think once you're 2-0 up, it's about, can you control the game? Be it kill the throw, slip the throw and go 4 up, or just defend it out and be solid for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Lee, let's hear from you. Usually you're the first one offering your opinion, but you was there. You've heard me and Jordan. Is it, from where you was, does it feel like the pressure gets to them at that point? Does it feel like an overconfidence, complacency type of era?
Listen, I don't know about the pressure side of it all, because there was pressure. City put pressure on us against Fulham, put pressure on us against Leeds, and we come through those games. So I'm not so sure about that. Don't take liberties is one thing. Even if you're going to see out the game, if you're going to stop coming off the gas like we did, don't take liberties. Don't get what you don't want to do is give the teams like West Ham any sort of encouragement. And we give it tenfold. But the fact of the matter is, and I'll go back to it and I'll say it and say it all again, Arsenal give away too many chances. Look at the game against Tottenham. Ramsdale making saves. Look at the game against Liverpool. Three unbelievable saves in that game. With a team, we are dominant as a team. We give up too many chances. And these teams are Premier League teams. They eventually will take them. We've rode our luck on certain occasions. I'm going to say that now. I think that we have. But you cannot continue to keep giving the chances that we do. And I think the first goal, could have been well avoided. And I think that we panicked a little bit there. Gabriel panicked going in there and all that as well. And that is a bit of a worry, because when you're in total control, and I think that sometimes maybe you could actually look at it and go, okay, all right, well, we might concede a goal here, but we've got players that can score goals. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think we respected the opposition of West Ham on Sunday. And I mean that, and the way I mean that is because when you look at West Ham, a draw to them was like a win. That point for them is like very, very sacred. It's big point for them. So when it went to 2-2, they showed really not much ambition other than, right, we're going to hold on to this. And I thought they defended very, very well. We couldn't couldn't get through them. And then they always looked a little bit dangerous on the counter-attack. A little bit like they did at the Emirates. They went 1-0 up, if you remember rightly. And we struggled to get through 2-1. Do you remember Boxing Day? Mm-hmm. We just haven't learned from mistakes of in the past. And I think that's something that's getting us. I do think at the end of the day, I'm going to say this now. I've said this earlier on. I haven't watched the game back. Always find it very, very difficult to do. But I did listen to Mikel's press conference afterwards, and he's given me encouragement for what he said, because you could tell he was angry about that. I mean, you could tell that he weren't happy about it. And he used the word ruthlessness. We weren't ruthless in a lot of things there. He's also got to get ruthless as well, because he wasn't ruthless. He was very, very ruthless. If you go back to the game against Bournemouth, he was ruthless. Ruthless at taking Smith Rowe off. Yeah, he was ruthless taking Partey off. Realistically, and rightly so. He should have been ruthless and took Saka off. Saka had a bad game. Just one of those games. Not going to criticise him. Forget about the penalty miss. It just wasn't happening for him. 3 against 2. I bet a lot of money that he would pick the right pass and do the right thing in that day. It didn't.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, it just was one of those games. It just wasn't happening for him.
It's pressure.
Maybe a little bit of pressure, Jordan.
It's pressure.
For whatever reason, take him out. You know what I mean? I think we took off Jesus when he was looking a little bit like he could still do something. It was just one of those games where, he's the best player we've got, and I get that, but he was just having one of those games, guys. It just where nothing was going to go right for him. Take him off. So when Mikel says about being ruthless, I think that he's got to be ruthless as well, like he was against Bournemouth, and because he was ruthless against Bournemouth, we got the result. So I just think on it there, for me, that is a missed opportunity. But I will say this, and the longer I've gone on it and spoken to different people and all that, maybe it ain't a bad thing. Maybe it ain't a bad thing that we can't afford to slip up now. So we won't go into our shell. We won't. We know that we've got to carry on. We've now got to go to Newcastle and we've got to win. We've got to beat Brighton. We've got to beat Chelsea. You know what I mean? But what we've got to do now is get something from Man City. That was always the case before the Liverpool game and before this game. Once we dropped points at Liverpool, that was always the case.
I think it's still the case before, but yeah.
Yeah, that's actually.
You know what I mean? Probably it is but for me, you can make excuses for the game against Liverpool, but conceding right on half time is what teams don't do. And if you look at Man City, 2-0, 3-0, then they ease up. My advice is to the team is get 3-0 up and then ease off. And if you're not 3-0 up, you carry on doing what you're doing. And if you players tire, then you get them off and be ruthless. You know what I mean? And I felt that was something we've done. I felt against Liverpool, we could have gone on and won 3 or 4. And for whatever reason, as James has said, and also in the Tactical Insight show as well, that they went 2-0 up and then they stopped playing for it. They'd done that on Sunday as well and paid the price with a goal. I can take it against Liverpool, but I think it was, you can't do it again the following week, do exactly the same against a poorer opposition. And, we had opportunities to get back in the game, but we give them so much encouragement that they were chasing shadows in that first 10 minutes. I was watching the game, they couldn't get near us. They were sprinting to get near us. We was popping it off. But you can't give professional football teams an encouragement and gift them goals. We've done that and we paid the ultimate price. Will it cost us in the end? I don't know. It all still comes. Look, listen, when you say about bottling it, pressure and all that, if we do not beat Southampton, we do not beat them well, then I'm going to say, yes, pressure's on bottling, because we've now got to go out there on against Southampton, wipe the floor with them and be ready for Wednesday.
But I will say that there is an opposition. West Ham might have seen us go 2-0 up after 10 minutes and thought, drop a little bit, tighten up, come on, switch on. There's a reaction to what we do from the opposition. Fine. What really strikes me is the lack of urgency from the 11th minute onwards. Whether it was at 2-1 to respond to the fact that there was a penalty for West Ham, whether it was at the penalty we were given and we missed it, and then they get the equaliser, and then when we needed a goal, and I'll be honest, at the 55th minute when they equalised, I didn't think Arsenal were going to suddenly start attacking. I thought that the momentum would still be with West Ham at that point. 2-0 down, pulled it back to 2-2, and Arsenal might be a little bit shaky. But I actually thought that when you brought Jorginho on, we started to knock the ball around a little bit more. And then for that last 10, 15 minutes, I thought, cool, let's knock on the door now. We didn't at all. The closest we came was that 3-on-2, that let's call it as it is. Saka completely messed it up. And the Jesus one where who puts it across goal? I think it's Tierney.
Oh yeah,
it goes across the goal.
Other than that, we did nothing. That is absolutely appalling. And I think that's what kind of worries me the most. That, you know, when you're playing against Premier League teams, they're going to throw punches back, and West Ham really didn't do a lot. We kind of let them back in, but then they started playing better. Fine. It's just the fact that we didn't have anything else after. That was really worrying. Against Bournemouth, we were 2-0 down, but we were throwing everything to get that back in that game. And there were other games where it's been a little bit tight. Man United, but we throw absolutely everything at it. And you feel like if we keep going, one of them's going to get over the line. Against West Ham, I don't think we put them under any kind of pressure. Now, was that running out of ideas? Was that mental fatigue? Was that physical fatigue? I don't know. But they need to shake that off really quickly. They need to find the adrenaline that just gets them through, because yeah, it's looked a very leggy 45 minutes against Liverpool and then 80 minutes against West Ham, really.
The thing that's concerning for me wasn't just so much the 2 goals conceded. It was the fact that when we went 2 up and they scored the first, we didn't get back at any point rest of the game into how Mikel Arteta's Arsenal play football.
That's what I mean,
yeah, we were doing things that we've not done all season. We were heading balls back into West Ham territory to West Ham players, when before a ball would come in, Ben White or Gabriel would chest it get it on the deck and play it. And look, if you concede the ball that way, then so be it. But at least it's what we do. We were losing second balls. It was a very un-Mikel Arteta kind of side after we went to 2-2 or even 2-1. What was worrying for me is that we never at any point after we conceded got back into our groove. As you've said, James, you expect West Ham at 2-1, at 2-2 to have a period where they're on top. But at no point did we wrestle back. Okay, you've had your little time now. You haven't scored the third. In this last 15 minutes, we're top of the league. We're going to take over. And that for me was poor. And just finally on Saka as well, I do feel his performance is a result of a young man who is still relatively early in his career, in a position where he's leading a team, to hopefully a Premier League title. And I don't say this as a criticism. I say this because he's a young man in a time of his career, in a position in a season he's never been in before. And I do think that the pressure, I use that word again, I think is affecting him. I think it's affecting many players, but that penalty miss, look, he can miss a penalty. That can happen. But I don't think it's a coincidence that he scored every other penalty for Arsenal. And this one, he's not missed it. He's missed it by quite a bit. Yeah. And he's a human being. Pressure can get to any of us. I get that. But the last 2 games, he's not been good. He has not been good. And I just think that, you know me, I'm balanced, man. When Saka rips it up, I'm the first champion in him. Shush you. I'm the first one to big him up. But I just think that when he's poor, I don't think anybody can escape the heat. I think he should get it like anybody else should get it. And he's been poor. However, I think he'll play well on Friday. I think he will.
In his defense, though, I think he is missing a little bit the Ben White overlap. I know he got the assist in the game.
Thank you very much.
I think because of that, also Ødegaard isn't. I know he scored. I thought Ødegaard was shocking. I actually thought some of it. Yeah, I wasn't impressed by Ødegaard at all.
Wow, look, that's interesting.
I will say, I was quite busy with other stuff, so I was half. I watched the game. I didn't do Jordan, but I was sort of half watching, half not. But I saw him give let's say the last 20 minutes when we needed some composure, we need to string a bit of pressure and try and create something. I thought he was giving the ball away a lot and just he wasn't at his best for me.
Ooh,
I don't know if I don't know. I think Ødegaard good or bad?
I didn't think he was great. I think I didn't think he was great. I think, you know, Partey was poor, if I'll be honest. You know, didn't play as well as what they're normally done. But I believe that Saka, and I'm going to stick up for him here because I noticed this when I watched the game quite closely at West Ham, is that I believe because Saliba's not there, Ben White is just being a little bit more cautious with his play. He's like knows when he goes bombing down the right, he knows Saliba can cover it with pace and also get it down and pass a little bit. And this is not a criticism at Holding. I'm just saying it is. Now, if you go back to the last couple of games before, they were home games, okay? And actually, the game against Leeds, Saka was on the bench, right? So it isn't such a big thing. But against Liverpool and against West Ham, what I see is that if you ever look at it, sometimes when what Ben White goes on that overlap, is a decoy. It's not going to be used. But what it does, a defender just quietly makes a little shift, and that's when Saka comes in and does his stuff. You know what I mean? Like when they're, because they do overload it a little bit with two against him at times. So if Ben White makes that run, it gives him that little bit of space. But what was happening on particularly on Sunday, and I haven't gone back to Liverpool game, but it looked to me like Ben White was being a very, very cautious side of it, just keeping himself into his shape, not going forward as much. And I think that's affected Saka in his last couple of games. It'll be very interesting what happens in the next game, because I do believe that there is that little thing of like we can get caught on that right-hand side. And also with that is, of course, with Saliba, if you look at the game against Fulham, I think it was the Martinelli goal. We're getting pressed, and he's the one that knocks the ball out to Xhaka, and then Xhaka gets it out wide to Trossard, and we score. Holding hasn't got quite that in his game, like, you know. And I just feel that because of that, Ben White is just having to just say, right, okay, I'll just stay at home a little bit more. And I think that's affected Saka's performances. Certainly, I don't think he actually overlapped once in that second half.
You probably have a point, to be honest. And you know what? The way I'm looking at it as well is we've got 3-4 very good attackers at the moment. You know, they've been great for us this season. Not all of them. Remember, James, at the start of the season, I said not all of them are going to bang at the same time. Yeah, I think Saka started a bit more quietly. Martinelli and Jesus was kind of the stars of the first few games. Then Saka comes into it some more, and then maybe Martinelli has a quiet patch. We've scored 2 goals in the last 2 games, going 2-0 up. I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not blaming the attack for it, even though in terms of us going into our shell, that is partly them too, but it's more the midfield and defense I'm looking at in that sense than I am the attack. So yes, Saka's had a poor, quiet last 2 games. It is what it is. At the end of the day, he's been a major part of getting us here. So I agree, he should have been subbed off, because Martinelli is our biggest goal threat, and he does cause problems. He still was causing problems in comparison to Saka. And Jesus, that was a big call for me. I think when he took off Jesus and Partey at the start of the season, I used to look at, I look at them two as we cannot go into games without them, and we need them to play 90 minutes as much as possible. But those were the 2 that come off. So the subs have come into question the last couple of game weeks, but
I got Partey Turkish. I understood the Partey one because he was having a little bit of a mare, and he was booked.
Yeah, that's fair.
He was booked.
Yeah, that one is fair. But I'm more with James when he said right at the beginning that this one's on the players for me. As much as I've got questions with Arteta subs.
I've also got to say with Jesus, I also still think that there's that little bit of in Mikel's defence that he's not quite 100% yet. You know what I mean? So. And I wouldn't be surprised that if he doesn't start Friday, he'll be the one to be left out. So that he's ready for that.
And just Lee, do you agree with that? If that is what he does?
Yeah, because you know what, when you come back from injury, you go on adrenaline sometimes, and then you get that gets you through the first couple of games because you're not quite fit, and then you have a little bit of a lull where you're going in. So I think that maybe like it wouldn't be a bad thing to do. It's a difficult one to call, but this is where I say you've got to sometimes be ruthless, because you know he scored in every game he's come back at this moment in time. So you know you're taking away a goal scorer. So I wouldn't be surprised if he'd done it and say, right, we've got enough for because I think he's vital for wins. I know, like, we've got to beat Southampton.
Yeah, that'd be a mistake for me.
But we've got to left Saka out against. I think the home game's different, but I do think that Jesus is vital for us in that game.
Yeah.
The other thing that he can do is what he done on this game. Start him and take him off. But I think Jesus is so important to us on Wednesday.
Can I just get I've not seen a lot of the kind of fan channels and cams since the game. What are your thoughts on? I heard a lot of kerfuffle in WhatsApp groups about the penalty in terms of, everyone was saying, "Oh, should Saka have taken it?" And I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on this, but it really annoys me when people do this. It's very simple for me. Saka's the penalty taker for Arsenal
100%.
Football Club. I don't care how many you miss. Well, if he misses 10, then take him off him. But he takes the penalties. And a lot of people were saying, oh, there was a bit of a kerfuffle with the takers because Jesus had the ball. Jesus had the ball because what happens now is the opposition players like to fanny around with the ball to distract the taker. So Jesus took the ball just to basically say, look, I've got the ball. We've got the ball. You can't play no games. There was so much nonsense in the groups I was in about, oh, Jesus, he took it off Jesus and why didn't he leave it with Jesus? He's a striker. And I'm like, no, Jesus was just holding the ball to make sure that, do you know what I mean? Saka could just zone in on the penalty. Did you guys think that? I know it's hindsight, he's missed it now, but at the time, did you guys think that Jesus should have taken the penalty?
Taker, Jordan. Yeah. He's the penalty taker.
Yeah.
That's it. Turkish made the point, or was it James? He scored every one so far.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing about it. I'm a little bit annoyed with Saka, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? Not because he's missed a penalty, for apologising. What's he got?
Yeah. Oh, I hate that, Lee. I hate it.
Nothing to apologise for.
Absolutely hate it.
You put yourself up for it. You've missed it. Get on with it. I was also a bit annoyed when people were turning around and going, what if you took him off? He missed a penalty. It might damage his confidence.
Oh, come on.
No, he's a top professional. I got no problem with him. He stepped up. He missed it. End of. You move on. Like you've got to have a certain amount of bottle to stand up and take a penalty. The plaudits you get for it are that you score goals. But I've seen penalties missed in the Champions League today, like very, very vital ones and things like that. It happens. And I don't, yes, he might lose a day's sleep over it. It probably does, but he'll get over it. He'll get over it like he did the last one he missed for England. But certainly getting up and saying, I apologise for it. Nothing to apologise for.
And you're right, Lee. I'm actually angry with him. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Don't stop this sorry nonsense. You've got nothing to say sorry about. It's pathetic. Yeah, I agree with you.
No, but I get it. He's trying to communicate to the Arsenal fans. Yeah, I agree. He didn't need to apologise. Absolutely not. But I get from his perspective that he's probably thinking, let me communicate with the Arsenal fans that.
But you're communicating to idiots, James, not people that actually know football and care about you.
He gets sent off. If he does something silly and gets sent off, that's a different sort of a part. I can get that. But like footballing thing, like it's not like he deliberately missed it, is it? Like then he's saying sorry, like what I mean. Like I'm sorry, that don't say nothing.
But that touches on something interesting that I think is a bit of a problem with Arsenal, that we are really bad at reacting to mistakes. We are bad at seeing Thomas Partey try flick a ball over Declan Rice and then keep our composure in the moments after that. And I know it's only one touch and then a pass from Rice before it's into Paqueta. But as Turkish said, it's actually a heavy touch from Paqueta holding could clear it. Gabriel goes to ground. For what it's worth, I actually don't think it's a penalty. But if you go to ground like that, you're giving them the decision, the ref a decision to make. It's a bit reckless. You don't have to do it. I don't like the way there's sheer panic. And then what happens? Saka misses a penalty. That's an error. He's it's not what I mean by that, he didn't mean to, but it's, he should score and he doesn't. Fine. But Arsenal just kind of like, they just like wilt for the next few minutes after that. They can't deal with the throw into a box and a simple offside line. It's just like I sort of don't blame Partey for trying to flick it over Rice, and even though it's bad, and Saka for missing the pen. I'm not comparing the two, but those moments for me aren't as bad as like the reaction after, the way Arsenal kind of fall apart when things, and it goes back to. We did have a real debate around the Xhaka thing at Anfield, and I said that I do think it played a part in some way. But having said that, you know, the players were just completely pulled apart in the minutes after, and Liverpool scored because almost like if the noise did go up and everything, it was like, what's going on? Panic. You know, the last few minutes at Anfield, the last 10 minutes at Anfield were an absolute shambles. You know, and I praise the players for all standing up to their own battles and trying to get us through. But as a collective, we can absolutely collapse after errors. Sporting, you know, we're all comfortable. A goal from the halfway line, we forget how to play football. It's just like, what? It does happen too often for me. We don't respond to moments of adversity in the minutes after. What we are good at is we're 2-0 down against Bournemouth. We have to attack. We got half an hour to do it. Not this.
And James, you know what? This is probably part of why the discussion for I think another time we should be having. But there's another team that does that as well, and it's stats to back this up. Man City. Look at Man City's record in the Champions League in particular in the last 5 or 6 years. Whenever they seem to concede goals, they tend to come in gluts. They tend to come in clumps. They concede 1, 2, and sometimes 3 in a very short. But when they capitulate, they capitulate big time. And I just wonder if it's something that Arteta's taken from Arteta in the sense that they're process managers. When it goes well, everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone's on job. Pass, you overlap, inside banks, goal. But the minute that you can't do that, it's like a robot that now has to have feelings, and robots don't have feelings. It's like, what? They've just scored. No. There's no program to kind of, we've conceded. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, we're going to do this. We didn't train for this, but this is what we've got to do. Just stem the tide. We tend to lose our heads to a degree when we concede goals now. And that's what, to James said it better than me, that's what's more worrying. Not the goals conceded, it's what we do when the goals are conceded. It's like, okay, cool, we're 2-1 down, but we are better than you. We're top of the league. We're going to wrestle back control and get a third. And okay, we almost did with the penalty, but at no point did we wrestle back control. And big teams that win titles find a way to give you a 10-minute moment or 10-minute patch to score your goal. But now we're taking over now because we're better than you. And we didn't do that.
That's the biggest thing for me, not wrestling back control, because those moments mattered. The Xhaka moment at Liverpool, it mattered, but it's not the reason. Saka's missed pen, it mattered. It's not the reason. On that note, it's Saka's the penalty taker. He takes it, you know, and like Arteta said, next penalty, he takes it. Obviously, then if he misses it, then yeah, I'd be thinking about moving it on to someone else. But you give a chance.
I wouldn't Turkish, you know. If he misses on Friday, I would still keep him as the taker.
Nah, two's enough, man. Two's enough, man. How many chances do you need?
I think he's got enough credit in the bank. He's not got a history of showing that he can't take penalties. For him to kind of miss 2 and take it off him. 3.
Louis Van Gaal. I think Van Gaal had a rota. Once he missed, it went to the next one. I think that's just something like that. Only he had like Wayne Rooney, Robin Van Persie. I'm thinking I wouldn't be messing around with those takers. You end up with Tom Cleverley, but yeah. I don't know.
Before we move on, obviously DR Sports does weekend roundup. I've got the Big Six on my channel, and we've all got Twitter, we've all got social media, and the term bottling is coming up a lot from opposition fans and even some media outlets. When you consider we've won 7 in the last 9 and drawn 2, I don't think it's a case of bottling, like James said earlier. You know what? I do think the West Ham game, we bottled the game. I do think in that 90 minutes we bottled it. But in terms of the title race, far from it. Now, if we drop points against Southampton, then cool. Use the word as much as you like, because then for me it would be on the cusp, if not bottling itself. But right now, I think a draw at against West Ham, listen, poor. We should have won the game. A draw against Liverpool, yeah, all right. We took something in the end when we was all hands on deck. At the end of the day, I feel like if obviously not winning the Premier League would be a failure, but we have made a lot of progress this season. So I want to get your thoughts on the whole bottling aspect of things.
Rival fans laughing about it. I mean, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for it. It's like laughing at a guy for not doing well on a test that you never even took. Like, we're there, we're making the league interesting, and we've put 7 wins in 9 and 2 draws. And like I said, I didn't say on this show, but of all the away games we had left, I had, City, Newcastle, and then West Ham probably was the third hardest one. So it's like it's not a major shock that Arsenal drew at West Ham. I know they're not having the best of seasons, but they've got some very good players. And in the 2 seasons previous, that was a really tough place to go. I don't feel like we're bottling the title in any way, shape, or form. I just feel like you're in percent of perfection, and it really is that, then they will capitalize, and that's what we're up against.
Different analysis, isn't it, with Arsenal? I've listened on the radio the other day coming away from, I don't know where I was going, but Uri Emery, 5 wins out of 5 for Aston Villa. Fantastic. It's great. You know what I mean? Arsenal got 5 wins and then they get a couple of draws and it's a different thing. It's bottling it. It's just a different way. Arsenal just make bigger headlines and that's the way it's always been. And that's something that you have to accept. But when other teams are saying bottling it, Liverpool fans, I'm going to be really honest. When Liverpool didn't win the league last season, it was far from my faults that they'd bottled it. It was far from my faults that they bottled it for 3 years out of it. I thought, well done for giving it a bloody good go against the juggernaut. Well done. Manchester United, laughing because they're 2-0 down, was a 2-0 down against Seville at home. I think is more of a bottling it than what we done on Sunday. Chelsea fans, they haven't got nothing to say. I had a Spurs fan come up to me the other day and said, yesterday, he said, I've got the custard on boil for your crumble. I said, you just lost to Bournemouth, mate. I'd rather what were you on about? It's incredible, isn't it?
And Lee,
I know what you mean.
And the thing is, Lee, you're a G. The thing is, you got it wrong. They didn't just lose to Bournemouth. The way they lost to Bournemouth is the definition of a bottle. They didn't just lose and it was a 1-0 that they scored in the 71st minute. They thought they were getting a draw in injury time and still lost it. Yeah. That is a bottle job. The definition of a bottle job. So
when all the other teams say that, do you know what it is? When they use the word bottle, do you know what it actually means? Do you know what they're actually saying? I'm jealous. I'm jealous of what you've got and what you're doing, and they're all hoping that we lose. I'll be honest with you. I've got Spurs mates that are selling their tickets for games at the moment. Not interested in going to Spurs no more. But I'll tell you that I'm interested in going over the Arsenal. Why? Because of what we've been doing. So when teams go, it's about bottle and everything like that, I'm not having it. Arsenal have not bottled it. This is, they're playing against a team Liverpool went last season. They lost 1 game, Liverpool, and couldn't see it. And I'm going to tell you this now: if this was the Invincibles season, we wouldn't be nowhere near where we are. So when you say it's about bottling it has nothing to do with it. You're up against a juggernaut of a team that is a very, very good team that can rest players and all that. Look at their front three that they've got, and then look at what they've got to back it up to what we've got to back it up. You know what I mean? You look at their central defenders. You know what I mean? To what they've got, they can afford to leave Walker out of the team at the moment. We can't afford to do things like we can't afford to leave good players and international players out of our side. So I think at the end of it, when they say bottle, it means we're jealous.
I think I'll give my brief thoughts. I think it's funny. Any serious football voice that wants to be taken seriously, that describes Arsenal as bottle jobs, needs to retire. I thought the discussion on Sky Sports on Sunday between Roy Keane, Jimmy Hasselbank, and Gary Neville was absolutely embarrassing. And I think I've worked it out. We're now in this era of clips and YouTube and virality. Is that a word, James? Virality? I'm a journalist, so I should know that.
I'll give it to you.
Okay, thank you. To go viral. We live in this era now where everyone wants to have the big statement and have the big term and have the big phrase and have the big clip that goes viral, gets shared and whatever it may be. And that's fine. In the WhatsApp groups, it's totally fine to have banter with your Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, United mates about bottle. That's fine. If you're going to go on big Talk Sport and big Sky Sports News, Sky Sports and big Match Today and call Arsenal bottle jobs, for me, you should give your money back because you're robbing a living. There's no analysis that backs up Arsenal are bottling this league. Yeah. First of all, we didn't even lose. That's the first thing. A bottle job for me is you got to lose the game. You didn't lose the game. It wasn't good. And I think there are questions to be answered. Criticize Arsenal. No problem with that at all. But it's not a bottle job. And the second thing, it's not over. I think, as you said, Turkish, if we lose on Friday, then I think there's definitely a conversation to be had around Arsenal choking. Because if you lose 3 games in the crunch part of the season, no wins, that for me, you have to just hold it. And if Arsenal finish second this season, we know the Spurs fans, Chelsea fans, oh, you bottled it. We've just got to hold that. But for me, I'm not taking anyone seriously that at this stage is calling Arsenal bottle jobs, because we're far from bottle jobs. I think what we're lacking in is experience. And if we come second this season, we go again next year and win it next season. I don't think we're not bottle job implies you have no heart. The whole bottle job term came from it's empty. There's nothing inside. There's nothing there. We've got, if anything, too much heart. That's we've got no experience. So yeah, the whole bottle job discussion for me, I just thought was embarrassing, especially on so-called respected mainstream platforms. It was Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank said it would be a disaster if Arsenal win the title. I mean, I like Jimmy, but why would you go on national TV and say such stupid disaster? No,
well, I think he was thinking about his own team when he liked Chelsea.
Oh, it was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. You know what I mean? How's it disaster?
I'm not being biased,
like,
but it's embarrassing.
He turned around and said, like, you know, I'll tell you what is a disaster: spending £600 million. Like, you know, you're in the 10th in the league and you can't score a goal every week. Like, you know,
it's 11th actually. It's 11th.
Is it 11th? Even better, like, you know, and still can't score goals. You know what I mean? And like, you know, you've got a striker you can't play in the Champions League because you left him out of the list. You know what I mean? Like, that's a disaster. So, you know, get your house in order before you start having a go at Arsenal. Whatever happens from here on in, Arsenal have not had a disastrous season. No. If we don't win the league from here now on come second, yes, I'm going to be disappointed, and I've got a right to be disappointed. But I'm not going to be like, it's a disastrous and I've got to sack this man and sack the ball and everything like that. Yes, we're entitled to be disappointed that we didn't win the game against West Ham. Yes, we'd be disappointed we don't win the league. But at the end of the day, that's all it will be, disappointing.
You know, the one and only time I think this team have ever bottled anything, I think was, and I know we had a lot of injuries, but I think it was the end of last season where we lost our heads at Tottenham, performance went out the window, second chance at Newcastle, didn't get a shred of a performance. That for me, I think if you're going to use the word bottle, it's there. It's when the group looks so far from what they're meant to be, and the only thing that's changed is the pressure of the situation. That's when I think you go, how is it? How is it that actually you still went to the bridge and won with injuries and whatever? You still beat Man United 3-1, but you know the pressure's turned up, and in these 2 games you capitulated. Red cards, penalties, you know, all that. And I don't think we're seeing that. I think we're seeing a team they've just made a few mistakes and haven't been at their best. Fine.
Do you know another thing, like, James, that really does annoy me? Do you know, like last season, I talked about this with Robbie earlier on, like, you know, Manchester City played Real Madrid last. They've 2-0 up with 2 minutes to go and ended up losing the game. I didn't hear no one say they were bottle jobs. I didn't hear the word bottle coming out of their, like, you know what I mean? It's such a great Real Madrid side and everything like that, you know. I'm also going to say that, give credit to West Ham on Sunday. They defended fantastically well. You know, we couldn't break them down. It's not the end of the world, you know, and this is why there's lots more fan channels out there now and things like that, because of those pundits and everything like that. A Manchester United captain and a Chelsea centre forward, I'm not interested what they've got to say about Arsenal because they don't care. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a conversation with us because I know that we all care about it and all that, like, you know. And for someone to turn around and go, it's a disastrous, and someone to say, oh, you're in cuckoo land. You're in cuckoo land. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's been humming on about Man United being great for a couple of years and talking about Ronaldo, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, not interested, Mr. Keane, and I'm certainly not interested in what you've got to say, Mr. Hasselbank.
But you're always welcome on the podcast.
Mr. Hassel. I could actually be rude, but I won't be.
You're always welcome on the podcast to debate it with us.
Soon come. All right, cool. Listen, we've got about just over 5 minutes to go, and we haven't even touched in on Southampton, but we kind of have here and there. We've all said it's a must-win now, and I forgot who said it. I think it was Lee that said we've got to win it, and we've got to win it comfortably. And I
Yeah.
pretty much agree with him. I think, to really get back on track before Etihad, I think we need a calm, composed, confident win against Southampton.
Should we just have a brief, I know we got a lot of time, but just a brief chat about how we would approach that game? Because we've all spoken about Man City and Newcastle in this pod, but those games are irrelevant if we don't win on Friday.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I disagree with Lee, that I would play our strongest team, and that I think has Jesus in it. I understand the temptation to have him fresh and ready for that big game on Wednesday, but Wednesday's irrelevant if we don't win on Friday. So, I mean, how would you guys rest anybody else as well as or somebody?
No,
just him.
The only reason I'm saying about Jesus is for that simple fact is that sometimes you have a little bit of a lull. I'm not saying that he has. He's been incredible. He's incredible. If he's fit and he's raring to go and he ticks all the boxes in the things, he plays. And Trossard misses out again. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. I think though, I think it's massive. If there's rumours about Saliba, I think that if he's got to play if he's going to play on Wednesday, he's got to play Friday.
Yeah.
What wasn't that? Well, there was a quote I saw. I think it was on Football Joe that was saying. Apparently, he said he's prepared to play on Wednesday, even though he knows he's not fit, and he's prepared to risk the season to play on Wednesday. Would you guys agree with that? Would you have him at 50% fit for Wednesday and strap him up?
I think maybe come Wednesday, we'll have to talk. Maybe we'll talk about this next week. But I think that maybe against Man City, you might have to look to do something different. But again, you know what I mean? Maybe not. We don't have to win that game, do we? So I don't know. It would be interesting to see.
Partey right back.
Oh, jeez.
That's what some people are saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Partey right back, Jorginho midfield, White at centre back.
They could go down that route. They could go down that. I could, even play someone like Nelson there or someone like that.
Zinchenko, can he go right back?
Zinchenko can go over there and be an invited player over there on that side. I think maybe he'll look to do something different. It'd be very, very interesting to see what he does. I would like to. Hopefully,
he's not really done anything wrong, has he? But you just know the quality. The team don't defend with the same confidence when he's in.
No, it's nothing against him. I get that as well, James. And I just think that, I think it's vital that Saliba plays on Friday.
Is anybody concerned about Friday?
No.
You're all quite comfortable. You think it'll be a comfortable win?
Yeah. No, I just
it should be a comfortable win. That's why I'm not.
No, but so should West Ham. So should
we ripped open
West Ham. I did have something in the back of my mind where I thought West Ham, we can't take this one lightly. They always pull something out the bag against someone every season, and this season they haven't really had many big results. So I thought, listen, we've got to get a job done. But at 2-0, I thought job done.
I only asked that because Southampton have beaten Chelsea. I think they've beaten Liverpool. They're not City out the cup.
Beat Spurs.
And they beat Spurs. So they have beaten some big teams away as well. So I'm just, on paper, this should be a light work. But
did they beat Spurs?
No, draw 3-3 against Spurs. I don't know the other fixture actually.
Was it 3-3? Was it?
They've beaten Barcelona. They've beaten Real Madrid.
No, I'm just saying they're bottom of the.
They beat Spurs at Spurs, didn't they?
I thought they did as well.
No.
Oh, at Spurs. They might have.
No, the last season. You're thinking last season, boys.
Oh, it was last season. It was. I'm just mentioning that they have beaten some big teams this season.
They got.
So I'm just saying they're bottom of the league. This should be fodder, top v bottom. But we're all confident.
Bottom of the league, Jordan. They're going out of the league. They went out to whimper against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Arsenal should do the business, and that's it. And if they don't, then we'll have another conversation. Okay. It'd be interesting to see what you're going to put in your league.
My man Lee.
On that note, let's pull up the table. And the table hasn't changed. There has been no change. We all predicted wins against West Ham in some way, shape, or form. But obviously, we drew the game. So for people listening on audio platforms, I am still top after 42 games played and predictions made. 38 points. Jordan's in second on 35 points. Lee is in third on 33 points. And James fourth on 31 points. So, yeah.
I'm just happy I'm in the 30s.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight.
Your hairline looks like you're in your 30s as well, like, you know what I mean? There you go.
You're talking about hairlines.
Well, I should know, I'm experienced.
My word.
That's what it was like when I was 30. Well, how old are you, James? Oh, no, I won't ask. That's rude.
I'm 27.
27. Oh, dear. Get out.
You got 3 years left.
This is what happens when you work with lead judges on a weekly basis.
So I'm going to buy you a hat for your birthday.
That's very kind of you.
That's no problems.
Can you actually just chalk off 20 quid, whatever I'll owe you at the end of this stupid competition?
Like that.
What competition?
This leaderboard thing. He's
I'm coming through now. You watch.
He ain't winning this.
Lee's done. Lee's dead food.
He'll find a way. Jordan went something like 123 like incorrect predictions and then shot to the top of the league.
Yeah.
He did a Man City, 4 on the bounce.
I'm confident. I'm still confident, like, you know, I'll be winning it, like, you know. Because I'm experienced, I know where to come from. You know what I mean? I know what to do.
We'll see about that.
You're doing the Spurs, mate. You're sinking like a ship.
Not like Spurs, because I am the current champion. I just want to say that. Like,
fair play, touche.
Yeah, a few more wins for me, and I'll mathematically be the winner again. Second league title.
Former winner, you are Turkish. I'll give you that. You're a former winner.
Yep, I am. Soon to be double champ.
Oh, I like that. You know? Have a double.
He's going to add like 2 stars to the corner of his.
I'm going to do that. I'll give Lee 1 star. Don't worry about that. Let me move the prediction table out of the way and get into the predictions. All right, I'm going first.
Big up NordVPN.
Always.
Yeah, you already know. Link in the description. All of that. Code AFTV.
Jeez.
I'm going 4-1.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
4-1.
goal, man. Can't.
I actually think Bukayo Saka is going to have an absolute blinder, like hat trick. I'm going 3-1 Arsenal. All 3 Saka.
3-1,
all 3 Saka. Lee, I would say I'll give you an extra point.
I'm going to go 4-0 before you said anything. I'm saying it. 4-0 to the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.
4-0. Clean sheet.
Clean sheet.
We'll have it. James.
Damn.
I said 3-0. I said they bounced back after West Ham. I'm going to go for it again. Come on, Arsenal. I'm believing in you. 3-0. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
So everyone's gone for a win. Everyone's gone for a different scoreline. I've gone for 4-1. Jordan's gone for 3-1. Lee's gone for 4-0, and James has gone for 3-0.
It's going to be 0-0 after like 75 minutes. You know that.
Yeah. Next pod sat here going, I don't know how we threw away a 4-0 lead against Southampton.
Don't say that.
That's all the predictions in. All right, cool. What we got left? We've discussed the West Ham result.
Got comments.
We've discussed the Southampton game coming up. Predictions made. You all right? Comments, Jordan. Before we get into comments, once again, just to remind you, this Forever Arsenal podcast is powered by NordVPN. Use the code AFTV at the checkout. Or click the link below to visit nordvpn.com/AFTV for the AFTV special. We've done some great work with them. Check this out if you want to see Lee at his most hilarious.
I'm trying to access this video and it's doing my nutting, Robbie.
Basically, you want me to go like...
And I won't be tagged anywhere, and I can save money when... sake.
So how do I know when he's finished moaning? Stop. All right, okay. Should we do... Oh.
That's actually my favorite one out of the lot. I can't even lie to you. I didn't know there was a blooper version. Have you seen that before, Lee?
Yeah, I see it. It's been on once before, like, but it is funny. They should do a blooper one because there's some classics in there, like, you know. So we've all messed up, haven't we? Like, you know. So
big up, man. Big up NordVPN. Big up Lee on his acting skills, and big up everyone that's hit the like button so far. If you haven't, hit it now, and obviously leave your comments because we're about to get into comment of the day. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Shall I go first?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Lee Judges never fails to make me laugh. Fails to make me laugh. Anyway, lads, I'm off to bed. Going to watch the tactical show. Much love from Australia. And that's from
oh man,
CL Ralph. Right, well done. I love it. Obviously,
Who's that from,
Australia.
Ralph?
Good day, sir. Good day.
What was his name? Ralph.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ralph. I ain't got my glasses on, right, you know.
Oh, we hope it's Ralph.
Block him.
Yeah.
Block him.
Not going down that route again. Much love from Australia. Like I love it. Like when the overseas guys get involved, like, you know. So love that one.
Yeah, come on. Who wants to go next?
All right, I'll go. Kieran says, "Love how Jordan goes on a rant and then goes, James, what time was the second goal scored? Expecting James to have the stats already on the bounce." The reason I quite like that one from Kieran is this actually happens. Like people would just ask me, like, "Oh, what was the XG in the Brighton away game?" It's like I'm not like I do my
Rain
homework.
Man.
I'm not like a stat supercomputer. It's research. As much as I'd love to say I'm super intelligent and I figure it out, it's just good research. But I appreciate everyone who feels like they can just ask me those things.
Yeah, it's a compliment, man. Still
a compliment. It is a compliment.
I'll take it. If I'm giving off the illusion, then brilliant.
The illusion. Let me go next, and then Jordan, you can wrap it up. So my one's RGV, and the simple one really. Turkish getting back to the top of the table was quicker than us after that City defeat. Jordan imitating Lee's new friend Stevie G.
Oh wow! There's no need for that. There's no need for that.
Very clever.
Jordan was actually buzzing so much over that international break. In the WhatsApp group, he was messaging.
It was awful, wasn't it? It was an awful time for us.
I'll be back. Imagine if I win the league the summer ahead. It's going to be unbearable in the WhatsApp group.
It is. It's going to be unbearable, and I'll be putting you on mute.
I'm blocked for the whole summer.
We'll finish second to City, but no, Jordan won the prediction table. So he's doing an open
parade on his own, like, you know what I mean? Like, can you believe it? Like,
a one-man parade. Yeah, you're all invited. I got a couple. So a lot of the comments were saying that I was only reading out comments that were about me. So I thought I wouldn't do that this week. But we did get a comment from Jordan who says, "Dope podcast. Really enjoyed this episode. Very simple and very complimentary." And then the other one was from Shaf.
From who? From Jordan.
The first one was from Jordan. Yeah. Jordan Dumiletsi. I think that is where Jordan Dumiletsi. And the other one was from Shaf C, the Forgetful Arsenal podcast. Jordan forgets fans' names. Lee forgets his passport. James forgets to make his bed. Turkish forgets to invite Sharoy. I like that one. It was a good one. So big up Sharav C.
What's wrong with my bed?
And you said, as it happens, you was making the bed before we started because we saw you like, you know what I mean? Fluffing up the pillows, weren't you?
Listen, I was just making it presentable for the show.
Oh, right.
Well, it's not working because they're commenting that your bed is a mess. So you got to do better, mate.
At least I'm not doing it by my front door like Lee. He's ready to pop out.
Conservative guy in there, like, you know what I mean? Conservative guy in there.
There you go. People. All right. Listen, James, Lee, Jordan, as always, it's been a pleasure. And people, hopefully it's been a pleasure for you. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you've hit the like button, and hopefully you're going to leave a comment. So our job next show is easier as usual, people, because you always leave comments, and we always have a section for comments of the day. And as always, big up NordVPN for this one. AFTV is the code. You can apply that during checkout, or you can click the link in the description below, nordvpn.com/AFTV, and the AFTV special will automatically be applied. So show them some love, show the video some love for the love. Hopefully we're back with 3 points against Southampton. We'll be back before the City game. Look out for it. Make sure you subscribe, notification bell on. Peace. We're out.